So it's been quite some time, but I'm finally back. I've recently gotten sick about a week ago or so and was unable to work on any of these update videos. Shortly after feeling better, I also had to work again, so apologies for no videos in quite some time now. But now that I have a couple of days off, we can finally get back to making CS videos and go over the latest Counter-Strike news and updates. However, before we go over the latest update from a day ago, I wanted to quickly go over some of the interesting updates or bug fixes which I was unable to cover as of yet. Timestamps are as always in the description down below, so if you're looking for something specific and want to skip over the old updates, feel free to do so. Across the past 2 weeks or so, we received around 6 updates, which is really good to be honest. Some of those bug fixes were issues that the game has been facing for quite some time now, so it's good to see that Valve has finally addressed them. With the update from the 23rd of October, they fixed the weird grenade interaction on Vertigo, which honestly was quite annoying, even though I don't really play Vertigo. However, players instantly discovered another location for it, and Valve subsequently fixed that one in another patch. The wallbang exploit on Vertigo was also addressed, which allowed CTs to get some sneaky kills if they were lucky from their spawn. This patch also brought some miscellaneous fixes, as an example for the Zeus, as a shock effect would sometimes be displayed despite missing the enemy, which was very interesting to be honest. With the update from the 28th of October, Valve also addressed the jump height inconsistencies, which had been an issue for quite some time now and caused a lot of issues with jumping in particular, as well as them also improving the consistency of successfully landing on surfaces very close to the maximum height of a jump, which is once again good to see. They also addressed some cases where the client would be pulled back down during a jump because the server disagreed that the jump had taken place, which was pretty annoying to be honest, but it seems like something similar to this is still observable in-game with certain jumps, as an example here on Office. They also adjusted the weapon pickup logic while near the C4, so you should no longer accidentally pick up a weapon instead of defusing the bomb. As well as smokes, which have received once again some changes. They're now clearing much better for the person that is standing inside of them when an HE grenade detonates in close proximity. Great changes here, Valve. And with the update from the 29th of October, the first person inspect animation in the inventory and loadout now matches with your in-game view model settings and your field of view. But as per usual with these fixes, new bugs were introduced, which they addressed relatively quickly once again, but there were some really funny ones, like the one that Valve named, funnily enough, I have to go, my planet needs me. And this one caused players to end up floating at the end of a match. Well, and they also broke surfing again, and then quote-unquote fixed it by adding a new console command that basically reverts all of the changes that we've just talked about regarding the jumps. Now that we're done talking about the old news, let's go over the latest update for Counter-Strike 2, as well as some news regarding Train possibly. This update bringing various bug fixes as well as some adjustments to how spraying feels. A great video on this matter was made by the YouTuber Bird, link will be in the description down below. After this update we now have this extra particle effect that indicates the most recent bullet hit, which was something that we used to have in CSGO, but this was missing in CS2, which hopefully should help with the overall visual feedback when spraying. Valve also fixed the case mid-spray where the lag compensation would rewind the target hitboxes further into the past than what was on screen, which I'm not really too sure about on how to test this, but if you notice any positive changes regarding this or any changes in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. Jumping in place on a sloped surface will no longer result in the player sliding a short distance, which is good to see. You can see a comparison on screen right now. And they also fixed the bug where the C4 could be diffused from any height, which is a pretty hilarious bug to be honest. Moving on to the animation changes, we received some fixes for the inverse kinematics logic to improve third-person feet posing, especially on slopes. You can see some slight improvements for the feet on ramps, as they now sit closer to the ground instead of just floating about. They also fixed the case where the feet and legs of players could pop out of position when exiting the bomb plant animation, as well as them reducing the animation-related network bandwidth usage, which hopefully is going to lead to some further improvements with all of the packet loss players have recently experienced. For the matchmaking changes, they've added more detailed matchmaking stats for players who try to find a match at off-peak times of day, which should hopefully give you some more information on how many players from which specific regions are looking for a match. Activating an Armory Pass no longer gives you a bonus point for simply just buying it, which is interesting to say the least. I guess Valve doesn't even want to give you this point. And lastly for this patch, let's go over the map changes. They fixed the geometry in the problematic jumping corner on Office, which seems to be much more consistent now. Ancient has also received a lot of changes, in this case the most amount of changes for this update. In A main they adjusted the lighting for better visibility. They also apparently removed a tree that was creating a distracting shadow at A side. However, from my testing it appears that Valve only moved this specific tree on the outside of the playable space. They adjusted the collisions to better match the visible geometry, which should allow players to stay closer to the walls in some areas, as well as them also reducing the shadows in some areas to increase performance. We've received some fixes for some spots in house where the player could get stuck in, like in this position as an example. They also fixed the collision gap at the bottom of B ramp, as well as fixing some disappearing mesh in A main. Well, now half of the tree disappears instead. Valve, please fix. And Nuke and Anubis also received some smaller adjustments, for which you can see the patch notes on screen right now. Well, and that already covers the most recent update for Counter-Strike 2. Last but not least, however, we have to once again talk about the Counter-Strike Twitter account, which has once again changed its banner. This time to what appears to be a concrete street with some puddles on it. As per usual, when Counter-Strike changes their banner, something big is about to happen. And this time Robs ended up making a tweet. For several hours now I've been told from the Counter-Strike account the truth behind the new Twitter banner. However, due to the importance and sensitivity around the subject, I have refrained from revealing the truth. I don't feel comfortable with it currently. Which the Counter-Strike account replied to with the supposed DMs, and according to them it's an elephant. Honestly, it would be quite hilarious if instead of train it would end up being a map like Zoo. But due to some of the recent leaks regarding the Train remake, we know that the map features some distant thunderstorms apparently, which also seems to align with the wet concrete ground that is now the new Twitter banner. I suppose only time will tell. Well, and most importantly, Free Clicks Philip is once again on vacation. So it seems like we're getting a bigger update soon. Poor Philip. Thanks for watching today's video, I hope it was informative, and as always of course, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.